So hackers attack medical devices that people need in an emergency, as if medical care wasn't expensive enough. If they really wanted to win against the West, it's more effective to be Robin Hood. Since they're doing cyber attacks now, would it be possible for them to do things that actually help people, things that would actually hurt the Epstein class? You know, the people who are perpetuating this war, the group of violent predators, the ones who are profiting from all of this, the ones who protect each other from the consequences of their actions, regardless of how heinous. With their Mosaic Defense, there are a bunch of ways that Iran could harm the elite. One unexpected way would be to do the opposite of what the US did to them. I'm not saying that they should do any of these things, but these things would be really, really effective. In the US, there is a generation of people who can't buy homes, and that's because monthly rent is actually cheaper. Renting is really an equity trap that the wealthy love, and that's because it ensures that the renter doesn't become an owner, so they'll always be indebted to them. Even so, a lot of people still can't afford to rent. If you look into why that is, you'll see the Epstein class staring right back at you. So many people struggle with their rent or their mortgage. What used to be a starter home or a modest rental now consumes a large part of a person's typical paycheck. Almost half of Americans have a hard time paying their mortgage or their rent. They're cost burdened. That's when a household spends more than 30% of their income on housing, because housing costs have risen so much faster than their actual incomes. A lot of people have to cut things like food or medicine just to keep a roof over their head. Even with a six-figure salary, people can't afford to buy a home. And that's because corporations value profits. Wages, they haven't kept pace with price increases across the economy, but somehow profits have. By exploiting people, corporations make more money, but that's not enough. So they go abroad so they can make more money, and they plunder resources and they cause destruction in the name of freedom. What would it look like if Iran were to use their Mosaic Defense technique with their cyber attacks? There would be semi-autonomous groups, each of them having their own intelligence, equipment, and their own authority. And getting rid of one unit wouldn't be effective. And that's because the other groups, they would keep their ability. Remember, they're semi-autonomous. They know what they're supposed to do, regardless of what happens. So I want to think about some things that they could possibly do, how they would affect the elite. And if I miss anything, tell me in the comments. First of all, they could delete mortgages. Mortgages are an essential asset to banks. And who owns the banks? The elite. Should there be a limit on the value of the mortgage that's being eliminated? Maybe. I mean, my house that I bought a little more than 10 years ago was 182,000. Today it's valued at over 500,000. Housing prices are so inflated that it's hard to determine what a limit would look like, especially for larger cities. The thing is, mortgages are key to keeping workers compliant. The fear of foreclosure keeps people risk averse. Erasing those liens would really remove a lever of control over the labor class. There's another labor control that they could wipe out: student loans. Student loan debt makes graduates less willing to strike and to whistleblow or to just even leave their job. Removing this toll booth could make the working class more able to take risks. Just like with mortgages and student loans, erasing small business loans would be huge. Banks and finance companies would definitely take a hit. Money that would flow up to shareholders and to bondholders would stay in communities instead. I'm really curious if deleting big pharma patents would push drug prices down. Would their margins collapse? Considering patent owners charge thousands of times the cost of production. I realize what drug companies always say, that their innovation would stop if they couldn't earn from their patents. However, a 2019 study found that fewer than 20% of the best-selling prescription medicines sold by Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson were discovered. and developed in-house. But the vast majority were third-party acquisitions that were already effective. Somebody make that make sense. Healthcare is a really big business. Deleting medical debt would free so many people from this parasitic system. It's a system where debt buyers and private equity, it's where they feed. And beyond that, would it make sense to leak offshore accounts, exposing where these people hide their assets? That, along with leaking which politicians they donate to, would expose so many secrets. Speaking of secrets, leak the files, but redact the victim information and reveal the full list of predators. There are so many ways they could fight this battle. For now, I'm going to continue to read the news and we'll see what happens next. Hi, I'm Kina, and talk about hard things with a soft voice. I recently came across this article from 2012 called Anarchist Calisthenics by James C. Scott. That article actually inspired this video, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. I've linked the article in the video description. It's a really quick read, and all the other articles I referenced in this video are linked there as well. Thank you so much to everyone who sent me a coffee or a super thanks. I really appreciate it. Now, if you're new here, welcome. If you want to hear more about things like systemic issues and bite-sized videos, then you should subscribe. Proton, thanks for partnering with me on this video. I just renewed my Proton plan. Before that, I actually used to use the free version. Proton Drive ensures that nobody can access your files without your permission, not even Proton. And that's because it is end-to-end encrypted cloud storage. And all of that happens in the background. You don't need to manage encryption keys. You just upload your files and it's all done automatically, and it keeps them private and safe. And when you share files that you've stored, you keep control of them with things like passwords and expiring links, and you have the ability to revoke access at any time. Also, remember that Proton products are open source. Thousands of experts worldwide have audited it for security. Proton offers plans ranging from free to business. Like I mentioned, I started with a free plan. And whether you're looking for the free plan or the paid plan, I keep a link of discounts in the video description. The article that I mentioned shares the writer's experience of spending a year in Eastern Germany after the fall of the Berlin Wall. He went there to learn the language, but what he took away was the idea of anarchist calisthenics. Basically, it's the practice of breaking minor rules like jaywalking to build resistance muscles, building independent thought, along with the potential for larger acts of defiance against unjust authority. The author, he watched these groups of 50 to 100 people as they waited for their turn to cross a street that was empty. There were no cars passing, and there were no cars that were going to pass. And the article makes you question, what would these people do in situations where they actually need those skills? I really, truly recommend that you read that article, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.